Yesterday, Governor J.B. Pritzker delivering a State of the State and budget address in front of a joint session of the Illinois House and Senate at the Illinois State Capitol, proposing to spend 49 point some odd billion dollars. A lot of money, all right? Close to $50 billion is what the state says they're bringing in revenue, which is a high amount. And then you look at how much they're wanting to spend. It's about 49 point, let's see here, what's the actual spending amount that some analysis has provided here. You've got $49.6 billion of spending on $49.9 billion of estimated revenue, leaving about a $300 million surplus, but $165 million of that's going to go into the state's rainy day fund. And Governor J.B. Pritzker heralding his budget prowess, but not really talking about the possible impacts of the COVID federal dollars that critics of the governor say was used to balance the budget and to pay off bills, but Democrats pushing back, saying that's not the case. It's their responsible budgeting, they say, is the reason why. But Governor J.B. Pritzker yesterday delivering his budget address. Here are just some of the highlights of the governor in his address, talking about a new preschool program where he's going to be appropriating $250 million for early education and $75 million block grants that he says is going to help create 5,000 preschool spots for children all across the state of Illinois. Here's the governor yesterday.
Smart Start Pre-K is a 4-year plan that will allow us to give access to preschool to every 3- and 4-year-old in Illinois.
But the governor also wants to spend $100 million on MAP grants. It's the Monetary Award Program. It's financial assistance for college students, and he says that'll in the end, it's going to boost the state's economy by getting more skilled labor.
We can make history. Together with Pell Grants, virtually everyone at or below median income in Illinois can go to community college tuition free.
So again, Governor J.B. Pritzker delivering some of that address, but he also heralding his ability to manage the budget, he says, and that's helped the state cut down on a backlog of bills and increase the state's credit rating, though Illinois still has the worst credit rating in the nation. You've got Governor J.B. Pritzker taking time to spell out what he says are his accomplishments and how the state of the state is actually looking.
In the age-old fight between happy warriors and misery's carnival barkers, we've shown that if we resolve to do it, happy warriors win every time, and we are winning. Which is why here in Illinois in 2023, I'm confident in saying the state of our state is stronger than it has been in decades, and we're getting stronger every day.
So again, Governor J.B. Pritzker, just some of what he had to say, but he also got a little political as well and talked about what he warned was coming from the, quote, right wing. So here's the governor yesterday during his address, taking time to discuss politics as well.
There is a virulent strain of nationalism plaguing our nation, led by demagogues who are pushing censorship, with a particular attack right now on school board members and library trustees. It's an ideological battle by the right wing, hiding behind a claim that they would protect our children, but whose real intention is to marginalize people and ideas they don't like. This has been done in the past, and it doesn't stop with just snuffing out ideas. This afternoon, I've laid out a budget agenda that does everything possible to invest in the education of our children. Yet it's all meaningless if we become a nation that bans books from school libraries about racism suffered by Roberto Clemente and Hank Aaron, and tells kids that they can't talk about being gay.
And he went on from there to talk about some cultural issues and pointing out that, in his opinion, it's the right wing that is going after disenfranchised groups. So we'll, of course, hear more reaction to that. But I was able to touch base with a couple of Republicans immediately after the speech yesterday from the state capitol. And one of those Republicans I connected with was State Representative Adam Niemerg, who shared with me some of his initial thoughts live from the Capitol shortly after the speech.
We still have some of the nation's highest property taxes, some of the highest combined state taxes in the country. Pension stat is still the biggest in the nation. We have the second highest unemployment rate. Home value is third worst in the country. We have 2.75 in new spending. We're looking at a recession coming. He talked about evidence-based funding, putting more money into that. He had a school that he quoted, Curie School here. He highlighted, but at 9.8 reading proficiency, 13% math proficiency, and $14,000 per child, it's just it's a woke wish list. Is really what we're dealing with here. And the governor had the audacity again to call us carnival barkers, but he's running the carnival and he's driving the carnival off the leftist cliff. So I'm hoping the people of the state of Illinois still decide to live here and stay here, but it's going to be an uphill battle.
So that's State Representative Adam Niemerg providing his reaction, and we had other reaction I got from state lawmakers immediately afterwards. Republican State Senator from Springfield, Steve McClure, he shared some of his thoughts and about, in particular, the idea of the questions of whether there's going to be a recession in Illinois.
We have heard from the governor's office and others in this building that they do predict there is going to be some sort of a recession. They didn't know how severe it was going to be. If that's the case, which I think most people agree that there is going to be a recession, I think you need to be more frugal with your funds. We are not seeing that with this budget.
So after the speech, there were a lot of news conferences from various caucuses, being the Latino caucus, the Black caucus, Democrats, the Freedom Caucus, all of these different groups of lawmakers sounding off and reacting. But to the issue of a possible recession, that was raised with one of the lead budgeteers in the House Democratic caucus, and that's Peoria State Representative Jihan Gordon Booth. She was asked whether or not the state may have bitten off more than they can chew. You'll hear a little bit of the reporter's question here, but Jihan Gordon Booth sounding off.
Plan maybe biting off more than the state can chew. I mean, do you have any reaction to that?
Listen, we're going to be smart about this process. We are standing on solid ground specific to the decisions that we have made over the last 4 years, and we want to continue in that vein. Part of the reason why we have gone to this new direction in terms of really centering this budget-making process at the committee level, allowing the committee chairman and chairwoman to really lead that process, is because they will literally have the ability to go into these budgets line by line and identify where we are getting our greatest return on investments for the investments that we're making on behalf of the state of Illinois. Regardless of where we end up specific to our budget number at the end of the day, we have to remember we are still going to spend billions of dollars of taxpayer money and invest those resources back into the state of Illinois. So our intention is to make the critical transformational investments that we need to be making, but also ensuring that we're doing so in a fiscally responsible manner.
So doing so in a fiscally responsible manner, how's that going to look? The Democrats saying that they're going to be putting away dollars for the rainy day fund, and you'll hear, obviously, that is a major talking point moving forward. But what about a possible recession? Is that rainy day fund going to be enough? Now, with the new programs that the governor announced, again, more than $200 million for this Start Smart program that's for pre-K, increased funding for MAP grants and subsidies for higher education, and a 7% increase altogether for higher education, a whole bunch of money for K through 12 districts as well. But questions have been in Republican mouths for a long time as to whether more funding is going to actually increase literacy rates. And the governor, using his speech to highlight a U.S. World News Report's review of Illinois, saying that Illinois education is doing great. But if you look at the actual statistics from the Illinois report card, it shows poor achievement for a lot of school districts across the state, and how is that being addressed? So the new programs that there's been questions of, are these sustainable, or are we going to see, for instance, tax increases? That's something that State Senator Terry Bryant, Republican from Murfreesboro, she raised concern about in her reaction yesterday to the governor's budget address.
Wait a minute. We cannot spend all the money that he is proposing, because in essence, what it's going to do is force another tax increase. I would say the governor did not get the progressive income tax increase that he wanted, so now his plan is to make sure that he spends us into a tax increase.
So different takes from different sides of the aisle as the governor calls out carnival barkers. Critics say that his budget is a woke wish list. Headline from the Chicago Tribune says Governor J.B. Pritzker stresses education in $49.6 billion budget proposal while blasting a, quote, virulent strain of nationalism in the school debate, and a whole bunch of other spending as well in the mix. So this obviously is going to be a long process here in the next few weeks and months, as state lawmakers then they're tasked with now putting together this budget, and we'll hear a lot about that. We'll be bringing you all of the latest as we get it from the State House as to how your tax dollars are going to be spent. Let's take a quick call here, and we'll open it up for more of your reaction as well. 217-629-7970. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
I'm so sick and tired about when it comes to spending for education. They spend millions and millions and millions in this state. We don't get anything that anything any better. The grades aren't better. They build these fancy high schools. They think that's going to do it. Now it's pre-K. It used to be you went to kindergarten, you started from there, you went up. How much do they think they can take out of my pocket? How high are my taxes going to be? How am I going to afford my home on my property taxes? They keep spending money on all this nonsense.
Well, yeah, the governor says that by giving K through 12 more funding, they can keep your property taxes low. But I don't know if there's anything in state statute that says, well, you can't continue to raise your property taxes year after year after year. I know that there are some caps, but listen, they can go to voters and they can ask voters directly with a referendum, and then have the labor unions advocate and use their dues-paying members' money to, put out messaging about, hey, we need a new high school. They didn't plan for this ahead of time, so instead we're just going to do tax increases. So yeah, it's an interesting conundrum a lot of people are in. I appreciate the call. We'll take another one. Good morning. You're on WMAY.
I just wish their excitement was matched with the facts. The fact of the matter is that Illinois unemployment was increased throughout COVID, and our GDP shrank. Yet at the same time, our tax revenue, increased by almost $10 billion. The only thing that could account for that is direct stimulus from the federal government. It's not because they had some beautiful magic revenue pill and budget pill that created all this extra revenue. No, it's because the federal government injected trillions of dollars into the United States government. And I almost wonder, if he felt like Oprah yesterday when he was reading his speech. You get $200 million. You get $50 million. I get $150 million for this project. It's just all nonsense. Nothing he is saying has proven true in any district throughout the United States. Investing in pre-K, why our regular education system is failing, it's just nonsense. We don't need pre-K education right now. I mean, it's flabbergasting.
Well, I appreciate the thoughts and the reaction as a taxpayer, and that's what we do. We like to open things up and hear from you out there, and your reaction to what we bring you each and every weekday morning. So appreciate that. It is Springfield's Morning News on 92.7 WMAY. Springfield's News and Talk. I'm Greg Bishop, live and local every weekday morning from 6 to 9. You can also follow along Bishop on Air on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and other areas. So, join me, won't you?